Hey, what is up, guys? It is Rapmark here. Doing a long-awaited review for Spider-Man: No Way Home. This obviously came out over a month ago. It's still in theaters. I've seen it multiple times at this point. Why did it take so long to do this? A combination of things between me getting COVID, work being completely unreasonable in its scheduling, and literally not wanting to send this out while people were still wanting to see it in theaters. It's Yeah, this is when I've had the earliest opportunity to do it. I wanted to do it for a couple weeks now, but then yeah, a lot of stuff just came up. So anyway, so getting to it. What did I think of this movie? I'll just put it out right there. I think this is probably one of the best MCU movies I've ever seen. Um, like the pacing was good, the characters were good. I mean, they had five villains here, like from all over, and they managed to have enough screen time for them. They had enough screen time for all the side characters. Uh, I only have one complaint in terms of the characters because I think one of them was done really dirty, and I'll get to that in spoilers. Um, but yeah, I mean, beyond that, I was impressed. Nothing felt wasted. Nothing felt out of place. Mostly just nitpicking things. I mean, there was some humor where it was just like, is that necessary? Mm. And then again, the one character who I thought was had been done, who had been done kind of dirty. So, which I'll get into later. It started off a little bit shaky because it takes off like literally like right after the events of Mysterio from the last one, Far From Home. And it's just like we gotta tie this up, and so that kind of seemed a little out of place. But then, after that, and once the actual villain started showing up, it just kept a great pace and it kept me interested. It didn't feel like it ran long. I mean, this thing is how long was this? This is so 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. So it didn't feel that way. It literally just, I was entertained and it felt like it was just on a really good pace. I, yeah, so I absolutely loved it. So another problem that I have, and again, I write scripts, so I blame a lot of things on bad writing. There was some bad writing in here that should have been cleaned up a bit, but not much. Like, this is literally nitpicking stuff right now. I absolutely love this film. It is, in my opinion, way up there, like one of the best Marvel films there is in the franchise. But again, like I had the same problem probably that I had with Endgame, which is another one I scored really high. I gave it a 9 or a 10. I think I gave it a 10, but I don't know. I'd need to look at it. But yeah, just mostly nitpicks. But again, a problem is if you don't buy into certain characters' motivations, then it's just like you. So I mean, I've every friend, every person that I've talked to has loved this movie, including myself. But I have seen things on like pages, threads where people didn't like it, and it's just like I don't agree with you, but I do get it. So yeah. And again, like I'm not trying to take away anything from this movie. I love this movie, but because I'm critiquing it, like I have to mention it because I mean, I just literally want really good like Marvel movies, Spider-Man movies, and this one was like really close to perfect. It was super close. Um, it was emotional. There were a lot of good beats. I love the interaction between characters. Everything felt organic. I mean, it was a smooth. It was, and it had a very fulfilling conclusion. Like there's some points where you just feel like it doesn't end to your satisfaction. This one did not have that. This one, well, you know it's going to continue on. Like the way this story ends, it was it was emotional and it felt satisfying. So, what else to talk about before I go on to final verdict? Yeah, I don't know. Like I think this is just this was a really overall good film with good characters, good writing, couple of spots of bad writing, but yeah, for the most part, this thing gets top marks. Yeah, I'm giving this I'm giving this a 10 out of 10 because once again there are parts that kind of drag it down, but they're very few. Like, yeah, there's not many, and then there are parts which raise it up to like way over that, and it puts the whole film back to 10. So, yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. This is a great movie. If you have a chance to see it in theaters and you're not afraid or high risk to go, um, yeah, go see this in theaters. Otherwise, when this comes out for streaming, this is a must see. This is an absolute must see, and that's how I'm gonna promote it because I've loved this movie way more than I've liked any movie since Endgame. And oh my God, the fan reactions! Holy crap! There is one point in there which I'll get to in spoilers, but yeah, the feelings were so deep that as soon as it happened, everyone lost their shit. It was amazing. Like it felt like an event movie. It was a complete event movie, like for sure. Like the the audience reactions on this were insane. And I like that when it comes to movies like this because, it's part of going to a theater and getting that experience. So those who watch it on streaming won't get that experience, but y- you'll get it when you see the movie because there were high beats, low beats, beats all over the place that just it made me feel things that no other Spider-Man movie did for me. Like I haven't had since again Endgame if we're talking about the MCU. So yeah, I think we'll finish it out there with my 10 out of 10 perfect score for this. It wasn't perfect, but there were a lot of things that brought it up to where it could be perfect to down out sort of the negative things that I thought about this. So we're gonna go into spoilers. So I will see you then, and have a good one. Hey guys, it is Rapmark here. So we're going to be doing some the spoilers to the Spider-Man No Way Home. So I had to avoid the internet. Like I was amazed because I went on on Facebook a lot. I really didn't see very much spoilers. I went onto YouTube and God, there was Spider-Man stuff all over the place, and I'm just like, nope, we're gonna avoid that for a while. So yeah, and again, I first saw it when it first came out, like that was it Friday or Saturday? I think it was Saturday. Could have been Friday. No, I think it was Friday. So yeah, it was the day after it came out. But of course, I didn't do this at the time to, for people who still wanted to see it in theaters. But I mean, I do a non-spoiler one, so I don't know. And there was also just a lot of stuff going on in my life at that time, what with stupid scheduling at work and stuff like that. But anyway, I digress. Let's go on with the spoiler review. But anyway, uh, all three Spider-Men are in this. So yeah, we have Tom Holland Spider-Man, obviously the current one. We have Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, who there were many who said he was the worst, and like there is a big argument as to who is the worst, who is the best, and then you had Tobey Maguire and his Spider-Man. Pretty much how I would go is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, I would go with Tobey Maguire is my favorite, then Tom Holland, then Andrew Garfield. And I love them all. Like the thing with Tobey was it was just entertaining. It was so yeah, and Raimi, I love Raimi, the one who made his Spider-Mans. Andrew Garfield, I love as an actor, and I loved his portrayal, but I think there was a lot of things like surrounding it in terms of the writing and the portrayal of certain things within that universe that turned me off a little bit. But I mean, I still enjoyed those movies, but they just weren't my favorite. And then with Tom Holland, I mean, he definitely looks young. He is not as young as he looks. And oh my God, like he looks really young to be pulling his Nathan Drake. Yeah, so I don't know how that's gonna go. Anyway, but yeah, they're all three in here, and my God, the interactions between all three of these were amazing. Like they made callbacks. There were points in this movie like where it's just like, hey, remember that? And yeah, so that's the big thing right there. All right, so to kind of go on to the story, so the part that I didn't like again after Mysterio go like they do this whole thing where they're trying to wrap up the whole he's now revealed, and then everyone is like split on him. Some still like him, some think he's a monster, and it's crazy. Like but it essentially ruins his best friend Ned, and MJ, MJ's life because they can't get into college. Uh, though, granted, he didn't try to appeal anything, and it's just like so he just gets he finally, after being rejected at MIT, which is the school they were all wanting to get into, he goes to Doctor Strange, and that was a funny sort of thing, sort of interaction. Just like We helped save half the universe together. I think we're beyond calling me sir. Okay, Steven. Feels a little weird, but I'll allow it. But yeah, so anyway, he goes to Strange to like see if he can turn back time as if they didn't. And it turns out that he is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. It is now Wong who has that because he blipped for 5 years. So, I mean, when you see him, he's not. It's not as bad as say like Thor was when he was getting fat and playing Fortnite. Oh man. But yeah, he's in sweats. He's being irresponsible. The sanctuary is covered in snow because he didn't reinforce these seals to one of them that led to like a snowstorm or something like that. I did, yeah. But yeah. So he decides to do this, and Wong's just like, "Don't do this," and it's just like, has he not suffered enough? And just like, just leave me out of it. So he goes down and he's going to do this spell. Like, and this is one of the parts where it's just like bad writing. Like this, the whole spell thing, and like Doctor Strange. I think he was the worst part in this whole film, which is it's sad to say. It really is, but they really kind of did him dirty. And like he does this spell, and Peter just like he's just like everybody. It's just like, what about my best friend? What about MJ? What about Aunt May? And what about Happy? Yeah, isn't it? Let me just check real quick. Ba, 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 ba. Anyway. Yeah, I have lost my train of thought. Damn. Oh yeah. Anyway, so he does the spell, and Peter changes it, and totally goes out of control. Now he's able to contain it, but it's just like, again, it's Parker trying to live two lives, and the longer he tries to do it, the more problems it's going to have. And then he's just like, yeah, if you applied and they rejected, and then you appealed and they still did nothing, there's nothing you can do. And he's just like, you didn't appeal? And then he just kicks him out. And it's just like, yeah, just, but he did the spell anyway. Like, that's the thing. It's just like, ugh, I don't know. Yeah, that's the first interaction with Doctor Strange, and it kind of left a bad thing in my mouth. I mean, you can kind of credit it. It's just like he's not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore. He's kind of just feeling down on himself because he's been gone for 5 years. But yeah, I don't know. But that's not the only time where it's super bad. There's another point in time where he goes into Doctor Strange's mirror universe and fights him there. And Doctor Strange, he's probably pulling some punches, because he's a kid. But Peter Parker, yeah, Parker figures out that, the whole thing is based on geometry. So using that, he actually traps him in that universe, and it looked really good on Peter. I'll tell you that right now. Like it showed his strengths perfectly. But again, it makes Doctor Strange just seem incompetent, and that's the thing. Like it would have been one thing if he was dealing with an artifact that he didn't fully understand, like that he kind of knows how to use but doesn't fully realize the ramifications of using it, or something like that. But the way they played his character in this, it just made him look stupid, and it kind of made me mad because I love Doctor Strange, and I just really don't think they did him justice in this. So the villains start showing up. First is Otto Octavius, Doc Ock, and yeah, so they digitally de-aged what is his name, Alfred Molina and William Defoe to look like their ages when their respective movies came out, and they looked great. I'll tell you this, like the fight scene was amazing, and there's a point when everyone realizes that they're not in their own universe, like Doc Ock, he rips off a part of Spider-Man's suit, and the mask goes in to fill in the hole, and it's just like, you're not Peter Parker. Yeah, and all this. So then he's pulled back to the sanctuary, where Doc Ock is now in a cell, and also Lizard Man. So Dr. Connors. And Doctor Strange looks all beat up. Obviously, he's had a big fight with him. He's also locked up. And then they start talking about the third person that was there, William Dafoe's character, the Green Goblin. And, ooh, man, William Dafoe killed it. William Dafoe didn't like, he probably could have ridden out this whole movie as the villain and just been amazing. But no, I'm glad they had a lot, because eventually what he's going to do is he's going to take the spell, and then there's a container with a button on it. And when he pushes it, all of them are going to be sent home. All the people who are from other dimensions are going to be sent home, and it will undo the spell, essentially. So anyway, essentially what it does. So essentially, when he messed up the spell, it summoned other people from other universes who know Spider-Man's identity. So all the people that you see are ones who figured out who that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So there's that. So now he goes to find, and there he finds Sandman, and he also finds Electro. Indeed. So they changed up Electro a little bit, because if you remember him from the original, like before he changed, he had a bad comb over, bad teeth, glasses. He looks much better now and is much more canon. He's not blue. So that's super cool. And here's another thing with the motivation. So when he finally finds Norm, like it's just like you got to help these guys, and Doctor Strange is like, no, that's their fate. These are freaking murderers. These are terrible people who have done terrible things, and sending them back to their respective universes, even if it's their fate to die, then they die. And his Aunt May is just like, no, you got to help them. And I was not impressed. Like, I do get it from like a younger, more naive Spider-Man try to get it. And to be fair, as mad as that made me at that point, by the end of the movie, I was sold on it because it kind of worked, and I'll get into it a little bit later. But yeah, both of them were really dumb, and because of it, Aunt May dies, and that was kind of sad. It wasn't as sad as I thought it would be. Like I started to get emotional on it. Probably when he saw the blood, and it's just like, you're fine, you're gonna be fine. Where it's just like, yeah, you're done. And but you never tell them that because you love them so much. And then just watching his like devastated, just tragic rambling, it was, oof. But yeah, it's just like, that's kind of what you get. And some people be maybe mad at me with both like how I kind of downsized Doctor Strange, as well as downplaying how good of heart that both May and Peter have in this universe. And it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, there's consequences. I mean, and things like that are possible, but it's just like, again, the longer they're here, the more you have it. And Doctor Strange straight up says this. It's just like, there are infinite amount of people that could die, or like could end up in the wrong universes due to this little slip, or if anything else goes wrong. Because again, the multiverse, it'll do there are weird things. It can fold in on itself. It can break, and it's absolutely nuts. But like, again, it's just, it's hard for me to believe that the fate of six essentially supervillains is greater than the whole of you know an infinite amount of citizens of the multiverse. So I don't know, like, I get it. Again, the end kind of sold it to me, and I accepted it. Again, I gave this movie a 10 to 10. So most of the stuff I'm saying are mostly nitpicks. Like, there are other things that raise it up. Like, again, when I was talking about like the interactions with the three Spider-Man, it's just like, what is a good example? Like, on, well, when they're talking about their webs, it's just like how Toby Maguire's, like, he has organics, but like they just come out of his body. His body makes them. And they're just like, we have to make these in a lab, and then does it come out anywhere else? So going down that little rabbit hole, and then there's another one where Andrew Garfield's kind of down. It's just like, because Tom Holland, he fought aliens in space. Maguire, he also fought aliens, and Garfield's character is just like, I want to fight aliens. Just like, I just feel insignificant. And another one where McGuire's character is just like to Garfield's character, uh, just like, no, you're amazing. You're amazing. Say it. You're amazing. Because he's Amazing Spider-Man. And yeah, just the back and forth banner between those three were absolutely precious. But yeah, another like, and also the villains them too. They're most of them are scientists. With the exception of Sandman. Um, because Doctor Strange, he's going to push the button and send them all back, but Spider-Man takes the box and he won't do it, and he traps it, and then he comes and it's just like, we either help you or we die. That's what kind of trust is that? But I mean, you also have like different things like Norman. He's all about it, in his Norman personality. Um, Doc Ock, he's still kind of a dick until they fix his inhibitor chip, and then he becomes a good guy, and he actually helps him out during the final fight, which is absolutely great because he was a good guy. If you remember the movies, like he was a decent man, a loving husband. You know, sad his wife died, but yeah, yeah, he was a decent guy. So was Kurt Connors. He just wanted to get his arm back. But then he went crazy and decided that it was the next step in evolution and he was going to turn everybody into lizards. But yeah, and he was in the truck while they were fixing everyone up. Like, I don't understand why they let everybody go. Like, he didn't have to release technically any of them because Norman was the only one who was really helping him until they fixed Octavius's inhibitor chip, and then he kind of helped out to get the antidote for Norman, and then obviously Electrode. He never was fully on board with it, but at the same time, and he was kind of fascinated with the energy of this universe, but he went along with it, and but yeah, when things started to go sideways, he pulled it off and was just like, "Nope, I'm taking this." And then Sandman, I'm not sure that, like, I get what they were trying to do with him, like turning on, like he wants to get the box, he wants to go home. It's just like, but we can cure you. Like, I just him turning on Peter like that, like I get he doesn't trust very easily. He's obviously a crook. Um, but I just don't think that the writing successfully like portrayed that turn from it's just like, all right, let's do this to just like, screw this, send me home. At least in my opinion. And again, that's in my opinion bad writing, but it's a nitpick. It's a very small issue with the otherwise really great way of putting it. So, and I like how after May dies, they go and they fought like when they do the whole Peter Parker thing. They discover that Ned does have powers now that he has his the the ring to like the, I forget what that organization's called, but the people who do the time. Yeah, so Doctor Strange's ring that can open portals, so he can do it. And yeah, when everyone was just like in, and then pulls it off, and there's Garfield, and then I love how how Mary Jane is like so untrusting, and he's just like, all right, I get it, and then he is pretty much holding himself up with his hand. It's just like that's not enough, and she's throwing bread at him. It's just like, why don't you have Spidey sense? It just doesn't work for bread. And yeah, just it was it was funny. The interactions were very awesome. Then Tobey Maguire's comes out. You know, he's in plain clothes, and it's mentioned before they go off into the final fight. It's just like, do you have do you have your suit, or are you honestly gonna go as the cool youth pastor? And he's just like, yeah, it was good. It was funny. Um, oh my gosh, but so before May dies, like Spider-Man, Holland Spider-Man, and the Green Goblin fight, and man, it was a brutal fight. Like you're seeing them being thrown around, thrown through walls, go through floors, go through ceilings. Like it was nuts. Like the fight scenes of this movie were so freaking legit, and uh, like the action on this movie was absolutely amazing. Like every fight was just super well choreographed, and I love how William Dafoe, even as old as he is, he did all of his own stunts. Like that's impressive. Like he is a very big about doing his own stunts. But yeah, anyway, so after they go and they try to figure out where Spider-Man is, it's established that one of theirs is the Empire State Building, one is the Sears Tower, and then they figure out where he is. I forget what building it is, but yeah, he's at the top of this building, and they all talk and join, and he's just like, I don't care, and he's gonna push the button. But Mary Jane stops him. Well, not Mary Jane. It's just MJ. I keep forgetting. Yeah, Michelle Jones is how it is. But yeah, they pretty much talk to him about their great loss. You know how Garfield lost Gwen, uh, McGuire lost Uncle Ben, and they just don't want him making the same mistake. And he's just like, I don't care, but he does eventually come to, because of the line that is shared between all three universes: with great power comes great responsibility. And so they use that, and so he's convinced to, try this, and that's where they all go back to, work on the cures for this. So is there anything I'm missing? Oh yeah, they're in Happy's apartment, so that's where they all go. So just to put that, I'm not sure if I'm getting his name right, which kind of upsets me. Who the heck? All right, hold on one sec. One sec. Yes, Happy. Yes, it is Happy. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Happy Hogan. All right. Anyway, but yeah, so he goes on the air to advertise where he's at, because it's going to go all over the world, because he's the most famous person in the world. And in the hope that the villains will see this and then they will come to him. So it happens. and everything just seems off. They're not used to working in a team, except for Holland, who worked as part of the Avengers. They're just like, Avengers, what's that? Is that a band? Were you in a band? It's just because they have no idea. But yeah, anyway, so they finally figured out and they determine, Holland's number one, McGuire's number two, Garfield's number three, and they decide to go after them one at a time, split them up. So Peter 1 and Peter 2, they cure Marco, the Sandman, um, with some sort of device that I guess counteracts the radiation that turned him into Sandman or something like that. And it's super cool. This last fight, you see him flying all over the place, bouncing off each other, throwing things to each other. It's it's fun. And then Connors, he gets stuck in some webs, and then he bites down on the cure. It breaks, and he's cured. He turns into a man again. And then Ned frees Strange from the mirror dimension with the portal, but then he can't close the portal to the dungeon that they're at. They're trying. Yeah, the Goblin appears. Actually, no. Before the Green Goblin appears, how is Electro? Oh yeah, it's Doc Ock. He pretends to be bad, but instead he takes the energy that Electro took from the machine that was at the fabricator that was in Happy's apartment, and replaced it with the thing that sucked up all his energy. And I like the conversation he has when he does, just like, I'm tapped out. He loses his power, and frankly, good for him that he got rehabilitated, because he really was a sweet guy. And Garfield makes that comment, before the electric eels, Max really was a sweet guy, and he is. So hopefully he can be that sweet guy again. I doubt we'll see him in any more movies, but you know what? When they all get sent home, hopefully he can be that sweet guy again. All right, so where were we? But yeah, I absolutely love how Octavius, he helps out. He's essentially the good guy, and it's just fun. It's awesome, and that's where the Green Goblin comes out. He launches a whole bunch of bombs, grabs the box, puts the bomb in the box, and unleashes the spell. And it begins pulling in more people from other universes to come here. So, anyway, at one point, he knocks Mary or MJ off the Statue of Liberty. And this is the emotional point that got me. I teared up and I was just like, oh my God. So Holland's character goes to save her. Green Goblin hits him. She's still falling. But then Garfield's there. He jumps. He catches her and saves her. And he's crying. Like, he asks if she's okay. She asks if he's okay because he's crying. The whole audience was crying. Everyone went nuts. It was, oh my God. It was such a touching feeling and such redemption for that character. It was beautiful. And I loved it. And oh my God, it was one of the best scenes ever in any movie, I'll say. Oh my God, it was so good. All right, so from there, uh, Peter and the Goblin fight, and again, it's another brutal fight where they are just beating the crap out of each other, just punching and kicking and flipping and all over the place. And eventually, he gets the Goblin down and picks up his glider, and he's about ready to frickin' stab him with it. But Peter too stops him, and eventually just he calms down enough. He's in tears, but he doesn't. He puts it down, and then out of the blue, like Goblin still being the sinister bastard he is, he stabs Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and he like at first I thought, oh my god, are they really gonna kill one of these guys? I was just like I wasn't seeing this, and then I was just like, oh wow. But then he's just like, I'm good. I've been stabbed before, and and Sp- and Peter 3 helps him up. But at that point, everything's starting to fall apart. And so Peter's just like, I'll create a new spell and just erase the memory of me from everyone. And he's just like, if I do this, everyone's going to forget you. This isn't about the original spell, which is just like people are going to forget that you're Spider-Man. Which again, it's just like, good God. you know, it's just like, why not let the original spell go through and just tell people, like, again, yeah, sure, it's going to be hard on certain things, but come on. Again, that was another one of those nitpick bad writing things, which I don't think was thing. But again, other things came up, raised up, like the interactions and everything that sort of went above that and rose it up to a 10. But there were some nitpicky things that yes, I still have to talk about because I love this movie and it was just so super close to perfect. So yeah, the spell goes through and everyone forgets about him and he gets his own place. He's doing his GED from home, not going to school. It's kind of sad but kind of relieving at the same time because he can literally just be Spider-Man, which he's encouraged to do after talking with Happy at the graveyard, who everyone's forgotten who he is. Everyone. It's the only way to prevent people from coming in. So, and that's another thing is earlier in the film it's commented that he saved the world, but he's still broke. And I'm just like, are you serious? Like, how? And that's another case of bad writing because it's just like the Stark family, like, practically adopted him. Like, they love him. It's just uh, like Pepper's not gonna take you in. It's and yeah, there were a lot of things about that whole situation where I'm just like, because like I can kind of believe that I find it hard to believe that everyone believed Mysterio, but I can believe that some people would believe Mysterio because I mean, especially the past 2 years, if you know what I mean, with the freaking conspiracy theorists, QAnon, just craziness. 2 years ago, I would have been more cynical and been like, I'm just not buying this. But no, I'm a little more lenient to buy it just because I've seen it happen in real life. So, but I mean, again, and you can still make money off of it. Like, how are you going to be broke? I mean, freaking Flash. What's his name? Have I gone crazy? All right, I might have gone crazy. Da, 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 da. I know it's in here somewhere. Come on. Ba, 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 ba. All right, so we got that. I know it's here. Ah. Anyway, we'll just go with that. I think it's like Flash Gordon or something like that. But yeah, yeah, he has like a book. So it's just like, how are you broke? And even if you can't get into school, just go to work for Stark Industries. Uh, here's the problem. Like in the other universes where there's not a connection, that kind of makes sense. But in this one, it's just like I can't. It's There's not enough suspension of belief that would have me believe that any of these people are broke. I just don't buy it. So, I'm sorry. But yeah, anyway, so he has this thing he's prepared to tell MJ about who he is, that he loves her, and his friend Ned, and he decides not to because he wants to keep him safe. Because he doesn't want them to be he doesn't want them to be dragged into this or ruin their lives in any way because they're all going to MIT together. So I assume that to mean that he probably would have been going to if people hadn't forgot who he was, um, which is sad, but it is what it is. Like the only thing is I don't know where Spider-Man's story goes from here. Like I know that we're going into the new Doctor Strange, the Maw of Madness, but where does Spider-Man himself go from here? So I don't know. I think they're kind of in a corner here because this is not a great place for him to be at. But I loved the film. There are two kind of like there's a mid-credit cutscene which I both was just like yes, and then no at the same time. So what it is Venom and Eddie Brock. They're at a bar. He's talking about to the bartender about the heroes of this world. It's just like they determined that Hulk was a bad name. He'd apparently been there for hours. He was highly drunk, and all of a sudden, Doctor Strange puts out the spell because apparently Venom knew it. So some people were like I did have a couple of people ask me about the like what is going on with that, and what it is essentially the symbiotes come from a hive mind that has the desire to conquer the multiverse. So it is an interdimensional, like within the multiverse, it can go between worlds interdimensionally. So that's how the symbiote knows it, and then Eddie Brock obviously shares information with the symbiote, so that's how he knows. And then he's sent back, and it's just like, why would you do this? But he leaves a little tiny little symbiote thing there, and it's just like, oh no, like Uh, it's so sad. Like I would love to see Tom Hardy's Venom in a movie, and that's probably where they're gonna go with Spider-Man from there. But just like how, like he's in Mexico. Like how would he get from Mexico? Like he either jumps from host to host to host to host all the way to New York, which I mean that's gonna be interesting. Or it's going to be something like Flash Gordon going down to Mexico for like spring break or to celebrate getting into MIT. And then that's how it gets up to New York. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It would be, I don't know. It just feels like they've written themselves into a corner as far as Spider Man is concerned. And I'm also not happy with how they teased Venom being in the MCU with the last one, with the last Venom movie, and then poof, he's gone. He's gone. Just a little bit of himself. Which, again, how does that work? How does he leave a part of himself there? That makes no sense. And then the end credit scene was literally just a trailer, a full on trailer for the new Doctor Strange film. So yeah, that's what that was. But anyway, that was Spider Man No Way Home. My review finally out. Anyway, 10 out of 10. Go see this movie. I loved it. I know it seemed like I bagged a whole lot on this, but honestly, they were really small things if you actually look at like how much I gushed about certain other things in this movie. It was small nitpicks, and other parts of this movie really, really rose to the occasion. But yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty damn close. Still gets a 10 out of 10. Anyway, go see this movie. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. See ya.